We are not rare. But before you leave, you will perceive the lore will be unlocked. You might be stalked by a Sasquatch or a ghost witch, possibly even a ghost that will boast about knowing the Ohio Grassman or even the Michigan Dogman. Werewolves hunt, poltergeists are up front, but in these backwoods folklore is unlocked.
Welcome back to Folklore Unlocked. I'm Austin, and like always, I'm joined by Ethan.
Yep, hello again, everyone.
And this week, we are taking a look at the Lizzie Borden case, which I'll describe as to those who are old enough to remember the O.J. Simpson case from 90s as the O.J. Simpson case before the O.J. Simpson case. And before we get into Lizzie herself and the whole case, let's take a look at the Borden household. Andrew Borden was the father of Emma and Lizzie, with his estate being worth $300,000 in 1892 at the time of the murders, which would be $10 million in 2024 money. Then we've got Abby Borden, who's the second victim, who is Andrew's second wife and stepmother to Emma and Lizzie. And then we've got Emma Borden, Lizzie's older sister. We've got Lizzie Borden, who, as you guessed, is the main suspect behind this. And then we've got Bridget Sullivan, the Borden's 25-year-old maid, and their house was located in Fall River, Massachusetts.
So, Lizzie Borden was born to Andrew Jackson Borden and Sarah Anthony Borden on July 19th of 1860. Had two older sisters, Emma and Alice, though Alice died at 22 months old of hydrocephalus. And they were relatively religious growing up, and they called the stepmother Abby and Miss Borden instead of by name.
And hydrocephalus might sound familiar, as we kind of touched on it in our Melonheads episode, and that's one of the theories to where the Melonheads got their, well, head shape. And leading up to the August 4th murders, the entire household had been severely sick in the days leading up to the murders. A family friend thought was mutton or sheep meat that had been left out over several days that was behind the collective sickness in the house. Though Abby had believed poison was the culprit, as Andrew was not very popular in Fall River. And John Morse, Emmy and Lizzie's maternal uncle, so their mother's brother, visited the family the night before, and Andrew had invited him to stay a couple of days to discuss business. And also, on a side note, that there had apparently been a family argument between Emma and Lizzie, and I'm guessing Andrew and or Abby, which led Emma and Lizzie to take an extended vacation and led to Lizzie staying in a rooming house, which will come up here shortly.
Now, did the fight happen before the sickness or after the sickness?
I could not tell you. I could get the exact timeline
I was gonna
between the
say.
argument and between the argument and the sickness.
I was gonna say because if like Abby thought it believed it was poison, and we'll get later on, like we talked about Lizzie being the prime suspect. I was just wondering if the fight happened before the sickness and might have been what caused if it was poison. Yeah. So the day of the murders. So Andrew, Abby, John, and Bridget were all having breakfast, and Andrew and John went to the sitting room and talked for an hour. Morse then left at roughly 8:48 a.m. to buy 2 oxen and to visit Lizzie, who was staying in a room house after a vacation that her and Emma took after a family argument. Then Andrew left for his morning walk sometime after 9.
And then we get to Abby being murdered. One of the chores that Emmy and Lizzie were normally supposed to do was clean the guest room, which their uncle John Morse was staying in. But instead of Emma and Lizzie doing it, Abby went up to clean the guest room sometime between 9 and 10:30 to make the bed. The forensic investigator claims that Abby was facing her killer at the time of her attack, and she is struck on the side of her head first, causing her to fall down face first, causing bruising on her forehead and nose. And the killer was proceeded to deliver 17 more blows to the back of her head, killing Abby. And it's believed a hatchet was used, which, again, we'll get to why a hatchet was believed to be used later on.
So next, Andrew was murdered. So Andrew returned at 10:30, and his key failed to unlock the door. So he knocked, and Bridget went to unlock the door, found it jammed, and cursed. So they heard Lizzie laughing at this moment from the top of the stairs, very creepy, and Abby was already dead at this time. So Andrew laid down for a nap, and Bridget was resting from cleaning when around 11:10 a.m. Lizzie called, "Maggie, come quick, father's dead," and somebody came in and killed him. He was struck 10 to 11 times with a hatchet or hatchet-like object, like Abby.
And then confirming the deaths didn't take very long, since a neighbor and family physician, Dr. Bowen, came from across the street and pronounced both Abby and Andrew dead. And detectives estimated that Andrew had died sometime around 11 a.m. So, roughly 10 minutes before Bridget heard Lizzie call out.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been hard to confirm the deaths from what it sounds like.
No, there's pictures of both bodies that, uh, for reasons that if you look up the pictures, we obviously left out because they are pretty gruesome.
So, suspicious Lizzie and items. So, Lizzie initially told police that she had heard a noise when she entered the house, but merely 2 hours later, she said she didn't hear anything. So, that's a little suspicious. Officers that interviewed Lizzie mostly did not like her attitude, as they thought she was too calm and poised. Police did search her room, but not diligently, as Lily claimed not to be feeling well. And 2 axes, 2 hatchets, and a hatchet with a broken handle were found in the basement. The hatchet with the broken handle is believed to be the murder weapon, as the break appeared very fresh.
And that's why they believe a hatchet was used in the murders. And there's multiple theories on what could have led Lizzie to committing the murders, and why I kind of described this as the O.J. Simpson case before the O.J. Simpson case is because Lizzie was acquitted or found innocent of both murders. And writer Victoria Lincoln proposed that Lizzie may have committed the murders in a dissociative state, so kind of like she had a mental break and just didn't remember committing the murders. And then another possible reason that Lizzie may have committed the murders that she was physically and or sexually abused by her father. Mystery author Evan Hunter, also known as Ed McBain, suggested that Lizzie and Bridget were secret lovers, and Abby found out, leading Lizzie to kill Abby with a candlestick, and she confessed to Andrew, and in a rage killed him with a hatchet when he reacted the same way Abby did. So very convoluted theories there.
Yeah, it's a lot of jumping around because who knows if any of these are true or not. So
Exactly, and like I said, she is found innocent or at least acquitted of both murders. So even if she couldn't have been tried again under the double jeopardy law.
that's what surprised me, that she got like. I know the reason why is because dissociative or whatever, but I'm surprised that she got away with it.
If she did in fact do it.
If she did in fact do it, that's true. But there are other theories. So we have the John Morse theory, which he rarely visited the family after his sister died and gave an almost airtight alibi to the officers.
And then we've got William Borden theory, who was suspected to be Andrew's illegitimate son, which was a theory brought by author Arnold Brown, who thought that William attempted and failed to extort money from his suspected father. And Leonard Rebello, a separate author, proved William was not Andrew's son. So this theory is pretty much just a wild goose chase.
Just that, a theory.
A crime theory.
And then we have the Emma Borden theory. So she had an alibi for the Fairhaven, which is 15 miles from Fall Rivers. And then Frank Spearing, a crime writer, came up with the idea that she may have slipped into the house, performed the murders, and then slipped out, returning to Fairhaven to receive the telegram of the murders.
So likely, but how likely, I don't know. And there is a rhyme that goes that's connected with this case, and it goes, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. And verse 2 goes, Andrew Borden now is dead. Lizzie hit him on the head. Up in heaven he will sing. On the gallows she will swing. Which both verses have some incorrect details, as Abby Borden was not Lizzie's mother, and she'd only been hit 18 times over the head, while Andrew was only hit 10 to 11 times over the head. And of course, Lizzie never got charged. Well, she did get charged with murders, but never got convicted. So she did not swing on the gallows.
Interesting rhyme, though. Interesting rhyme.
Yeah, very interesting.
And then pop culture. So in 1933, play at 9 Pine Street character Effie Holden was based on Lily. And then in 1947, there was a one-act play, Goodbye, Lizzie Borden. And then episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents titled The Older Sister presents a fictional account revealing Emma as the perpetrator.
And important, it's a fictional account. And on to our thoughts. I think based on the evidence that Lizzie at the very least had some kind of involvement in the murders, whether she performed the murders herself or had somebody else do it for her. I don't know. And like it says, I don't know to what end she had, but to me it seems like she did have some kind of involvement in all of this due to her not really liking her stepmother Abby, and the fight that her and Emma both had with Andrew and or Abby. So there's all that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Lizzie probably had some hand in the murders. Kind of like you said, Austin, I don't know for sure if she was the only perpetrator, if she got help with someone, something like that. But she definitely, it just creeped me out whenever it was talking about how like they heard her laughing upstairs, and I just imagine like a maniacal laugh, and I'm like, that's just really too suspicious.
Yeah, and from where Bridget said they heard her laugh, Lizzie would have been able to see Abby's body from the top of the stairs. So there is that fact that Lizzie, if she was at the top of the stairs when she laughed, would have been able to have seen the dead body of her stepmother.
And you could only guess what she was laughing at then.
Exactly. But I think that's all we've got for this week. Any last words, Ethan?
Notice, thanks for watching, everyone.
Well, thanks for watching on YouTube. Leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, drop us a follow and a comment, and we'll see you next week.
You might wake up beside Spearfinger with an extended visit from Jack the Ripper. But if you're lucky, it'll be an angel on that range hill of Louisiana. You might meet Mary Laveau or the Road. At Folklore Unlocked, Austin and Ethan concoct their theory of the eerie and unexplained around the world, sometimes even the underworld. The lore is locked behind secrets, the folklore is meant to be unlocked. The Sokaloo is haunting NC as well as Tennessee. There are many giants that might be clients of the Dark Watchers, who might have psychokinesis. And the phantom time hypothesis is like a phoenix, coming back around again and again. Though there's a strain on your brain if you've got more than 2 brain cells in you. Some believe McCartney is dead because they read into the Mandela effect, which is subject